In May 2007, the tranquility of the Praia da Luz resort in Portugal was shattered in an instant. A 3-year-old girl vanished without a trace, and the event sent shockwaves across the world. What seemed like a safe and peaceful vacation suddenly turned into every parent's worst nightmare. How could an ordinary family lose their child while on holiday? Where did she go? Was she taken? Or did something even more sinister happen? This case has become one of the most mysterious disappearances in criminal history, leaving millions of people searching for answers to this day. Madeleine Beth McCann was born on May 12, 2003, in Leicester, United Kingdom. She was the firstborn daughter of Kate and Gary McCann. The family lived in the village of Rothley, England, and both parents worked in the medical field. Madeleine was a cheerful, kind, and highly intelligent girl who was growing up with her younger twin siblings. In May 2007, the McCann family was on vacation with friends at the Praia da Luz resort in the Algarve region of Portugal. Every evening, they would gather for dinner at a restaurant within the resort. On May 3, following their usual routine, the McCanns dined with their friends. Their apartment was about 50 meters away, where their children were asleep. To check on them frequently, the parents left the patio door unlocked. At around 10 p.m., Kate McCann entered the apartment to check on the children, only to be met with a horrifying sight. The bedroom door was open wider than usual, and the window was fully ajar. Madeleine's bed was empty only. Her beloved pink stuffed cat remained. Madeleine had vanished without a trace. Kate ran out of the restaurant in panic and screamed, "Madeleine is gone!" Chaos erupted as friends, guests, and resort staff immediately joined the search for the little girl. At first, everyone hoped that Madeleine had simply wandered off and gotten distracted by something. But with each passing minute, it became increasingly clear something far more terrifying had happened. Late into the night, dozens of people searched the resort, the beach, and nearby streets with flashlights. However, there was no trace of the girl. By morning, it was evident that this was not just a simple case of a lost child. Something truly horrific had occurred. Portuguese police took over the case, but their actions raised serious concerns from the very beginning and were heavily criticized. The crime scene was not secured. Numerous people entered and exited the McCann's apartment, potentially destroying crucial evidence. Border authorities were informed about the missing child only 24 hours later. Precious time had been lost, which could have been crucial in the investigation. But the most terrifying part, Madeleine was still missing. The investigation quickly turned into a tangled web of rumors, theories, and suspects. One of the most shocking versions was the suggestion that Madeleine's own parents were involved in her disappearance. Investigators speculated that Kate and Jerry might have accidentally given their daughter an excessive dose of sleeping medication and, upon discovering the tragedy, staged a kidnapping to avoid the consequences. This theory gained traction after sniffer dogs detected traces resembling the scent of a corpse in the family's rental car and on Kate's clothing. However, forensic tests failed to confirm this claim, and experts stated that there was insufficient evidence to support the theory. There were multiple witness reports claiming that on the night of Madeleine's disappearance, they saw a man carrying a child near the McCanns' apartment. These testimonies gave hope that the girl had been abducted rather than something worse happening, but they also raised even more questions. Soon, suspicion fell on Robert Murat, a British man who lived near the resort and actively offered his help to the investigation. His behavior seemed unusual, and police began to consider him a possible suspect. His house was thoroughly searched. His computers and phones were seized for analysis. Murat was interrogated multiple times. However, no solid evidence linking him to the case was found. A few months into the investigation, all charges against him were dropped. Despite this, his name remained associated with the case for a long time. As the mystery of Madeleine McCann continued to grow, filled with new theories and unanswered questions. The story of Madeleine McCann quickly gained worldwide attention. The disappearance of the little girl became one of the most discussed topics in the media, with reports on the investigation dominating newspaper headlines. Madeleine's parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, desperate to find their daughter, turned to the public through the press, hoping for any leads. They launched a large-scale search campaign and attracted the attention of world leaders. The Find Madeleine Fund was created with the goal of not only keeping interest in the case alive, but also raising funds for a private investigation. The McCanns gave hundreds of interviews, urging people not to forget about their missing daughter and to share any information that could help find her. They appeared on dozens of talk shows and major news programs, providing detailed accounts of what had happened. They met with Pope Benedict XVI, who gave them his blessing and expressed his sympathy. They sought help from high-ranking officials, including the British Prime Minister and leading detectives. The search for Madeleine became one of the largest and most expensive campaigns in history. Yet, despite all efforts, the mystery of her disappearance remains unsolved. These efforts helped raise millions of pounds in donations, but also sparked a lot of controversy and criticism. Some journalists and public figures accused the McCanns of attracting too much attention to themselves, even calling their actions performative. Articles appeared in the press, questioning how exactly the collected funds were being spent, while debates on social media continued about whether the parents were truly doing everything possible to find their daughter, or if they were trying to hide their involvement in her disappearance. Despite these accusations, thousands of people continued to support the family and assist in the search. Volunteers distributed flyers, anonymous donors made large contributions, and ordinary citizens closely followed the news, hoping that Madeleine would be found. Parallel to the Portuguese investigation, the United Kingdom launched Operation Grange, a large-scale review of the case involving top specialists. In 2011, at the request of then Prime Minister David Cameron, the London police reopened the investigation, allocating a multi-million-pound budget to it. Investigators meticulously re-examined previously collected evidence and explored dozens of new leads and testimonies. Police interviewed all registered offenders who lived nearby at the time, including those previously convicted of crimes against children. They also conducted repeated witness interrogations and analyzed phone calls made on the night of the disappearance. As part of the investigation, British police collaborated with Portuguese authorities, Interpol, and private detectives. Special attention was given to the possibility that Madeleine's disappearance was linked to international human trafficking groups. Despite extensive efforts, no major breakthrough was achieved. One theory after another was dismissed, and new evidence failed to lead to concrete suspects. Over the years, Operation Grange significantly reduced in scale, but the investigation officially remains ongoing. In 2020, the case once again gained widespread attention when German investigators announced a new suspect, Christian Bruckner. This individual had a long criminal record, including violence and abduction, and had repeatedly been prosecuted for sexual offenses against minors. In May 2007, he was in Praia da Luz, and just a day before the girl's disappearance, he reportedly told an acquaintance that he had to do something terrible. German police conducted a series of searches in houses and properties linked to Bruckner. In one of these locations, they discovered a secret room set up in a basement, as well as a box buried underground containing videotapes. According to investigators, the tapes depicted scenes of brutality involving other victims, further strengthening suspicions of his involvement in Madeleine's disappearance. However, no direct evidence or recordings linking him specifically to her case were ever found. Despite the lack of definitive proof, German police declared Bruckner their prime suspect. Investigators suggested that he might have kidnapped and killed the girl, but they admitted that there was still insufficient evidence to charge him. Bruckner, who is currently serving a prison sentence for other crimes, continues to deny any involvement in Madeleine McCann's disappearance. The prosecutor handling the case stated that, according to the investigation, the the girl had died. This was a devastating blow to her parents, who had believed for years that their daughter was still alive, continued searching, and hoped for a miracle. However, investigators were unable to provide irrefutable evidence confirming Madeleine's death. Despite the serious accusations, Bruckner continues to deny his involvement. His lawyers argue that the evidence presented by the prosecution is insufficient for a guilty verdict. Bruckner himself claims he had nothing to do with the girl's disappearance and insists that he is being unfairly persecuted. The investigation has faced several challenges, including the lack of direct evidence linking the suspect to the crime scene. At the same time, the police continue gathering new data, analyzing phone records, and searching for potential witnesses. Despite the prosecutor's shocking statement, Madeleine's parents have refused to give up hope and remain determined to uncover the truth. The story of Madeleine McCann touches the hearts of people around the world. It exposes the weaknesses of judicial systems, investigative errors, and law enforcement failures that have cost the McCann family years of agonizing uncertainty, loss, and relentless struggle. This case has become not only a symbol of the fight for justice, but also a stark reminder of how ruthless and unpredictable reality can be. Despite years of investigations, debates, and hopes, the main question remains unanswered. What really happened to Madeleine McCann? Madeleine's parents have not given up. They continue to believe and hope that one day they will find their daughter. Kate still buys Madeleine gifts for every holiday, imagining that she will one day be able to give them to her in person. Her room remains untouched, as if time has stood still, waiting for her return. Despite the pain, loss, and years of uncertainty, the McCanns try to move forward for the sake of their twins, who are growing up knowing that their sister will always be a part of their lives. They continue to take part in charitable initiatives aimed at helping missing children, hoping that their story will one day have a long-awaited resolution. Today, years after the tragedy, many still ask the question, what really happened to Madeleine McCann? Could the truth one day come to light, restoring justice? Or will this case remain one of the most agonizing mysteries of our time? Investigators, journalists, and the public continue to analyze every piece of evidence, hoping that the missing piece of the puzzle will finally emerge. Despite years of uncertainty, Madeleine's name remains a symbol of both tragedy and hope, a reminder of countless missing children whose stories remain untold. One thing is certain: as long as people continue to search for answers and believe in miracles, the memory of Madeleine McCann will never fade. If Madeleine were alive, she would turn 22 in 2025. Her parents continue to hold on to their memories and unwavering faith. It is this faith that keeps them going, despite the endless years of relentless searching and unanswered questions. Every year, on her birthday, they imagine what she might look like now, how her voice would sound, and what kind of person she would have become. They refuse to lose hope, believing that one day they will either learn the truth or, against all odds, see their daughter again. Perhaps, one day, their faith will lead them to the answer they have been waiting for so long. Take care of your loved ones and cherish every moment spent together. Life is unpredictable, and no one knows what tomorrow may bring. But even in the darkest times, there is always room for hope. It is what gives us the strength to keep going. If you enjoyed this video, support it with a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps create more fascinating stories. Thank you for being with me. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. See you in the next video.